Welcome to the Homes Podcast. My name is Maurice Brown III, your home ownership coordinator here in the city of Schenectady. We've got our co-host here, David, today, and we actually have two very special guests. We have the mayor of the city of Schenectady, Mayor Gary McCarthy, and the director of development and planning, Alexandria Carver. We'll let you guys do some brief intros yourselves as well. David?
So easy enough. You guys are starting to know me by now. Dave Kellogg. I'm a real estate agent here in Schenectady. I like doing investing. I like looking at terrible homes. I like buying the worst. And I like talking to people about their journey and how they got here. So as our guests introduce themselves, I want them to, after they're both in, take a moment and tell us, about their early portion of their career if they want to, and how long they've been with the city, and just give us a little background before we jump into any type of questions here. So it'll be kind of free form for you guys here.
Let the ladies go first.
My name is Alexandria Carver. I was appointed in August of 2023 to this role. My background comes from the nonprofit community development sector, where I worked for a local nonprofit, Better Community Neighborhoods, and overseeing housing counseling, foreclosure prevention, financial literacy, homeowner education, and took part in the developments that happened throughout the city of Schenectady for affordable housing opportunities. And I'm glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
That was a mouthful of really cool information. I bet we could break that down after the fact into a lot of different pieces.
I'm sure. For me, Alex is, even before she worked here with the city, she was like my go-to. I'd ask her a quick question like, hey, Alex, I'm trying to find out about this particular thing. So we worked in tandem a lot. So it's always great to see the mayor bring on more team members that have specialties so we can grow our team.
I spent 30 years as the chief investigator in the Schenectady District Attorney's Office. While I was there, had the opportunity to serve on the Board of Commissioners of the Municipal Housing Authority for a decade. I chaired the Industrial Development Agency, served on the Metroplex Board. I served 10 years on the City Council, and then 2011, Brian Stratton took a job with the Canal Corporation. I was city council president then, became acting mayor, ran for mayor, was elected, and have been reelected 3 more times since then. And thank you for the opportunity to be here, tell the story of a lot of good things that are happening in Schenectady, and hopefully we're creating a platform for future investments and creating general interest in people who may want to look to move here, live here, do business here, or just stop by and enjoy the venues that are in our community.
And the new ones coming up.
Yes.
We have a really rich, outlook in the next couple months and years on some really cool things. I think one of the coolest things you mentioned is the IDA experience, right? So that in that role, can you explain that role just a little bit, and then talk about how that has aided in your mayorship?
Industrial development agencies have been somewhat of a point of controversy in New York in terms of their overall effectiveness. The real niche that they provide is incentives in terms of financing projects, so that an IDA can work with a developer and a site and get the entity in the market lower interest rates. They're actually creating a little bit more opportunity today as interest rates go up. When interest rates were generally very low, the incremental difference that you could get from a fair market rate to a tax incentivized rate wasn't necessarily that great. Some of the, still for investors, getting financing that may be tax-free for the individual owning the bonds still creates opportunity. But again, it's a mechanism that is out there, and it's one of the tools in the toolbox where we work with now the Land Bank, Metroplex, the IDA, both at the city and county, to help incentivize some of the urban sites that are, by their very nature, complicated in terms of their history, compiling a site, and it's, people see the value in urban areas today, so that people are moving there, where people in the past had seen suburban development, what's called just green sites, where you take a vacant field, put a building up, put housing in. It's simpler. In the short term, it's easier, but developers are learning that the real value is to do that in urban areas where you have some of the existing infrastructure of water and sewer. You have complementary developments or opportunities that are going on, and the cumulative impact is far greater in an urban area than some of the suburban locations.
Yeah, that also prevents urban sprawl, so you don't keep getting further and further from the events you want to be at, right? Because the further out you go, there's going to be a point of the transport issue where, hey, I'll drive 25 minutes to these three things, but I won't drive 30. So then you have more farmland being used up for these other things. And yeah, so I like the idea of, especially on these brown sites that we seem to have finding from time to time that no one wants to put on these big, cool projects. I believe on the last podcast, we talked about the casino area was on a brown site. So
yes,
so that whole thing went from nothing and no real future plans to one of the coolest places in Schenectady.
That has a great history. It was American Locomotive was there. Long history. Most of the locomotives in the world were built there. Significant involvement World War II, where they produced tanks there. Went in a period of decline in the 60s and sat vacant, underutilized for over half a century. It was a complicated site to develop. It required brownfield credits, working with the Canal Corporation, DEC, Department of Labor, number of entities. It wasn't simple, but we had a team in place here in Schenectady with a vision, with the resources to do a transformational project, and had full partnerships, with the governor's office, with state and local entities. And today, it is actually the number one tourist destination in the capital region.
That's cool. And I know just adjacent to that, we brought up a venue site, and I think the plan on when's do you remember the completion time on when that new venue was proposed?
I do not.
Yeah, but I know I actually occasionally I like to do boring things. I apologize for the room what boring is, but I went in and sat on the zoning board once just for fun, and but that's the kind of stuff I like. I like the nitty gritty, and I like seeing, the problems that people bump into and how to get around it. And I think when we're talking about urban decay or, where's the easier place, a green field that's never had a building on it, you'll never hit a structure foundation, building within city limits, you do have some benefits, but you also have its own unique challenges.
Exactly.
Right. So I like going to these things once in a while. I don't have a ton of free time, but going there shows me there are roadblocks that everyone hits, and there's almost always a way around it. So it's also super encouraging to me and to other real estate, small potato real estate investors, that say, okay, it can be done, and everyone has their own roadblock.
I like to tell staff, we solve problems, we don't create them.
Yep.
And that's how you create an environment, an atmosphere where people want to invest, people want to be part of the growth and the transformation that's taking place. It's a new community today. It's been fully rebuilt. Golub led the effort a year ago to, start using the term New Schenectady.
Yep.
We're proud of our history, but we look forward to the future.
I use that term when I'm describing two families in the $300,000 range now. I'm like, well, why is the price so high? It's New Schenectady. What do you want from me? It's what 5 people are willing to pay for it. I can't tell a seller not to accept highest dollar if that's not what they want.
Exactly.
Right. So I've used that term sometimes defensively, but it's certainly, you can see the property value changes, and I am both really excited and a little saddened by how aggressive people are buying these city properties when they do come up, these city tax foreclosures that us real estate agents list, because now the cost of entry is so high, but people are willing to pay that because the exit strategy is so valuable.
Yep.
Right. So it floats all boats, which can be good, can be bad, but it used to be, 5 years ago, we were, what would be a price for a city property 5 years ago? 5, 10, 15, maybe 20,000.
On average, they're around 20 to 30,000 each.
And now we're hitting 90s and hundreds.
It's also
When I came into office and put the homes program in place, where people said that it would never work, they wanted us to give properties away for $1.
Sure.
And I wouldn't do that. I said there was some value in these properties. It might have been $5,000, $10,000, $20,000, and some of them have been sitting there for a long period of time. You really had to have a vision, good financing, and a high level of tenacity to work through problems to undertake these. But people came in, realtors came in, bankers came in, and we slowly chipped away. And so today we have a community where you're talking about houses that went for, Maurice is talking about, 25% of that, they're going for the high 200,000s. Some are going well into the 300,000s. And there's value in these houses. You can tell a story where the 2x4s are really 2x4,
Yep.
which sometimes creates issues when you're doing a rehab because you can't buy a 2x4 that's 2x4.
Yep.
But you go in, you redo the kitchen, you redo the layout of the house, and there's opportunity, there's value there, and people have something that's unique, something they can be proud of, and something that's going to hold value.
So, we just jumped into that. I wasn't expecting to get so nitty gritty into the real estate part, but it excites me because I like buying the ones where everyone tells me it's too far gone. Because my strategy is I do a full gut rehab. I want to do everything down to studs and rebuild. And part of that's a trust issue. Like if you buy something that went from estate, who knows how many brothers, cousins, and aunts and uncles watch a YouTube video and mess something up and they hit it really well on the wall. You don't know what's going on, and I know if I buy something that's semi-nice or horrible, I'm going to have the same expenditure because I just want to do it over.
Yep.
And it takes a lot of time and a lot of money, surprisingly a lot of money. But, I like the challenge of doing that. And, we buy 2x6s and rip them down to 4-inch dimensional just to make it work. But that's part of the challenge. That's a roadblock and that's a solution. Cool. I've hogged it for a minute. You let us jump in here. I don't want.
I was listening.
You're here. I don't want you to think I'm stealing everything. So
No. You're perfectly fine. I know when we talk about the homes program and the initiatives of the city, I think another part of that is some of the other initiatives that the mayor has, like the Smart Cities program, which creates the value for people to want to invest in.
You mentioned that earlier, and I'm embarrassed because I know nothing about that.
Well, we have the source here. So
can you tell me more about that, the Smart City?
It's a broad term that means different things to different people, but looking to play on the city's industrial heritage, which was innovation and creativity. Brought in a group of community leaders, was fortunate to have Mark Little, who ran GE's Global Research and Development Facility for 15 or 17 years, chaired the Smart City Commission. And so we looked at ways we could bring technology in, bring innovation in to make city services more efficient. So we have, we don't even use the term anymore, cameras. They're optical sensors that are on poles. And in most of the information, they can be used for police, for documentation and deterrence. But the more practical application is doing car counting, traffic studies. Today, you can use we've done a small pilot project, which they're still implementing on a broader scale on Lower Union Street, where the sensors would not only count the cars, but size the cars. So the timing of the street light would vary a little bit based on if there were 3 compact cars coming up to it versus 3 SUVs. You, as a driver, wouldn't notice the difference, but it would improve the traffic flow by a few seconds one way or the other, so it reduces the overall idling time. And if you can take that technology and apply it across a city, across a state, across a country, you have a major impact in terms of fuel savings, overall efficiencies. We're still looking to take the the cameras, the optical sensors, and you get all this live data real time. But if you take one picture a month of the street surface, that can be your pavement management plan, where today you have to go out and visually observe the street. You put a numeric value on it. You have to code it in. That you can do with the sensors that are on the cameras. That has the potential to pay for all the deployment of the hardware, just in better managing pavements. And it's the nature of the mayor's office. Every spring, I know I'm going to get calls and complaints about potholes. It's the Northeast, and how do you better manage that? And so we try and stay ahead of it, try and be innovative, and try and, again, make sure our road surfaces are good so that people can not only drive on it, but walk on it, bike on it, and take advantage of the community as a whole.
Sure.
I like that too, because we're using the innovative technology plays into what do you want to be a part of when you come into a city. And I think that is something that is very desirable when I'm talking to individuals who've chosen to invest in the city of Schenectady, and that's where they want their homes. And that's why we do get a lot of people who end up wanting and willing to pay what they're willing to pay for a city-owned home that's currently might be in disrepair or not. And I know a lot of those individuals often will ask about what else is going on in Schenectady. What are the other support services programs that may be available? So Alex, as a director of development, I know you're also oversee the current tree program to some degree, or there's a grant for that, and as well as a pavement program that we do too. Can you tell us about those?
So the Retree program is a collaborative effort with some of our subrecipients, Community Father, Retree, Schenectady. So we have it, and with the city of Schenectady, where we employ young people within the city in low to moderate income areas and from low to moderate income families to plant trees throughout the NRSA area in Schenectady. We know that trees are beneficial. Some people agree. Most don't. But the goal is we have federal funding that comes down, and they plant over 150 trees over the summer. This program has been in existence about 6 years, and they maintain the past trees that they've planted over the summer, as well as planting the new trees. We are in the process of Maurice of working with engineering and trying to rebrand our paving program. The paving program, there's steps I'm still learning. Mayor, chime in to help me out here. But our paving program, the city will offset some of the funding to have your sidewalks repaired. If you can do a petition and get your neighbors to agree to it. And there are several options for repayment of that. You can do it by way of a loan with a 4% interest on that, or you can pay up front. So we will pay half. Right now, I think square footage wise is $75 per square foot.
We charge the homeowner $55 a linear foot.
Okay.
For their sidewalk, and our costs today are actually running probably twice that. It's the code in Schenectady, property owner is responsible for their sidewalk. Most of the sidewalks in the city were actually put in under a special assessment program. They go back 80 years, sometimes longer. So the sidewalks have deteriorated, and we're trying to, again, work with homeowners to replace the sidewalks. And when you do it, when you're doing a whole block, there is a visual impact that is quite dramatic. It increases the value pretty much of everybody's home and makes the street much more attractive, safer, and again, it's a community asset. But as Alex was talking about, it's done via petition process. So the homeowners petition for it, the city council will then adopt it, and we'll put it in a plan so that we'll do the street surface, the curbs, and subsidize the actual sidewalk replacement at probably over 50 cents on the dollar.
Oh, wow. That's pretty cool. And I don't think it can be understated what new roads and sidewalks and just being clean and fresh and uniform impacts. I was in Troy for a while, and I remember when they did, I think, Congress Street up the way. They did that, and it was like, wow, where is this red carpet going to? And then all this, it's like the chicken and the egg, you know? Do you wait until all the businesses are there and ready to go, or do you lay the egg and wait for the businesses to come in? And it made a huge difference, at least in appeal. It's like, all right, I don't mind driving, when I can't see the road so well. And yeah, I wish those lights weren't so blue, but you can definitely feel what direct investment puts into an area. Alex, I want to ask you a question here about your experience with BCNI and what you think that role is towards the home ownership portion, because you have that experience. I know I've used you. I had a client use you for a house on Avenue B, and we couldn't get seller concessions. The only reason we were able to buy is because of your grant. So thank you on behalf of my buyer from 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So yeah, you made it possible. That and the TUI fund.
Yeah.
Those were the two reasons we had the down payment to make the purchase. So yeah, really cool to see you again. I remember seeing you also at there's a hotel up off of just up the way where you did a speech on
Doubletree on Knott Terrace.
That's it.
Small plug for the double.
Small plug for the Doubletree. Not a sponsor yet, but come on, guys.
We'll call it.
So I had, so I've seen you a couple of times, so I'm excited to have this one-on-one opportunity. Can you tell me how your experience at BCI influenced your role today?
Totally influenced. I think I have insight in the best of both worlds when it comes to homeownership opportunities and what it takes to build up homeownership in the city of Schenectady. My experience with dealing with the federal, state, and local funds play a major role. Coming to the city and having to provide oversight for that funding, I already came in with an understanding. So that down payment assistance program that you're referencing is a down payment assistance program that is funded from the city of Schenectady. So I understand now what it takes to implement it from the side of being a homeowner and a recipient. And I also understand what it takes to put it out into the community from the city of Schenectady. I think that my experience helps me further the mayor's initiative. I know exactly what it takes for people to prepare to buy these city-owned properties. And on this side, that knowledge helps me support the mayor with driving the mayor and Maurice with driving the sales of the city-owned properties.
Thank you. I know we're running low on time, but I know there's one particular thing that he always likes to talk about. And it does tie into the walkability of any given area too. So our trees, our pavement, the rehabilitation of properties, that talks a lot to the walkability of Schenectady. But I know I'll let David talk about his major one he always likes.
I'm just about ready to get t-shirts made up that says Schenectady, home of chickens and trolleys. I know on Van Vranken there was a pothole not right across from the college, and there is for a month there was this beautiful trolley rail under the ground. I'm like, we have these yellow bricks and trolley rails under our feet. I would love to know what the city of Schenectady and the mayor's office or you, Alex, need to put attention to and find and maybe re-implement, even if it's small and an ongoing process, to pull the blacktop off and try to get trolleys put back in our system. Because of anything that locally things could be known for, a revival, but remembering it, and it pokes into what you said, Mayor, New Schenectady, but remembering the past. We drive over the past every day, and we could be unearthing this and putting back to service, even just in small ways to start. But what a cool way to say, hey, we're Schenectady. We went through some changes. We're on a really great upswing. Let's make it walkable where you can pop on and pop off a trolley. We'll get to the chickens another day because that sells itself. But I'm just excited about the idea of trolleys. He's
going to pop up at city council meetings.
People talked about that, looked at it a number of years. The reality in transportation today, we defer to Capital District Transportation Authority, run a bus transit system. They've modified that. We were the first recipient of a transportation hub at the end of State Street, so that the buses go there. There's electric vehicle charging stations. There's bike racks there. They have some electric vehicles. The cost for reestablishing the rails is extremely expensive. Mm-hmm. And so it's a lot cheaper to just put a bus in place and have that run there. We've done some shuttles from downtown out to the casino around, and we had looked at doing a line that went from somewhere in front of Proctor's out to the entrance to the casino or Mohawk Harbor. It's been looked at. The reality is the numbers just don't seem to work at this point. But we're always looking at those creative ways for enhanced transportation for that last mile, so that if you're taking public transportation, people coming in on the train, taking the bus, it may not go right to your place of employment or your home. And how do you fill those gaps? How do you make it convenient for people to, again, live, work, and play within a community or within a region, and do it in a cost-effective and healthy manner that's sustainable?
I can totally and absolutely appreciate the amount of expense on that, but it also probably would have been cheaper not to redevelop the Brown site where the casino is. But it's now, as you said, that's now the shining star in the capital region for economic growth. It's bringing people from outside. Alex, you said you were talking about new pavement. I'd love to say, hey, could we combine trolleys on Van Vranken with new pavement and cherry trees? So you could say, hey, come in for the spring in Cherry Blossom Valley or Cherry Blossom Alley, hop on the trolley, see our mom and pop, mixed use up and down the alleyway. We're looking for a new place to grow anyways. And what a great entrance to Union College that could be. You could say, okay, we could do trees that can feed people. We do sidewalks that make people want to walk. We have 2 seasons a year that people would come not for spending money or a show, which we've got a lot of great attractions, absolutely. But we could add, we're talking about adding trees. You could come and have a cherry eating festival up and down. The rule would be you just can't take any with you. Right? Imagine seeing just purple hands on kids, and all over their face as they hop on and off the trolley.
I can see it.
Right?
And I would encourage you to come out as we begin our planning stages for a comprehensive plan and share at our public hearings and community events, and more information will be coming out for that.
I want you to plug that. Where would I find, so I can find dates, times, locations?
When that goes live, those date, times, and locations will be listed on the City of Schenectady website under development.
Cool. Because in my mind, I see white and pink flowers alternating all the way up, and then 3 months later, some sour cherries, some black cherries, some purple, and I already hear the ding ding in my mind here.
But these are the kind of things that we want to hear from the community as we develop what our plan is to look like for the city.
Yeah.
So your input would be valued. So come on out when that stuff.
In fact, probably should come back and do a podcast specifically on that process and the funding that's associated with it.
I like that. And we're going to find hurdles. We're going to find hurdles for everything, right? But I would love to put that on Maurice's plate. Maurice, can you? Thank you, buddy. Can you set that up and find a way?
We can definitely have a new episode geared specifically around the comprehensive.
I would like that.
Study about that.
But let's do it when it's scheduled, so we can then plug this scheduled date and time throughout and say, hey guys, look, in 4 years, this podcast may not make as much sense as it does 2 weeks or 3 weeks before the comprehensive plan writing and review or public forum, but it would be a nice way to get a couple people to jump in on it.
Yes, and it's going to be exciting. We'll be taking the community's vision and coming up with a strategy for implementation. So it will be wonderful.
I look forward to it.
Yeah.
I know we all have to head out because I'm sure everybody has other meetings and plans to get done. But definitely check out the City of Schenectady's website, cityofschenectady.com. On that main page is a lot of different links to different resources as well. If you go to the Department of Development under Government, you can see a lot of the different plans that have occurred already in the past, as well as other different resources, as well as on the Homes page. Anything else you guys want to say before?
This was a fun episode. I think we touched on a lot of topics, at least topically. And I think we opened the door for a chance to really get nitty gritty on a couple things and down the road. So, guys, I thank you both for your very valuable time. Maurice, thanks for setting this up, man.
Thank you for the opportunity to be here.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you.